Okay, y'all, let's get into the digital dollar, the BRICS, the global switch, the mark of the beast, and these types of things, because the tribulation 7 years is wrapping up and the great tribulation is opening up. And as these things happen, the so-called church or religions of the world will know they are in that end times, and that candlestick has gone dark. And this is when the beasts are going to rise and such, and the children of hell start playing their parts. So they've all memorized their lines on how to act, and the mark in the right hand has been placed by the image that was given life long ago, called your tell-a-vision. And that's part where the king has given you this thing in the right hand that tells you right and wrong, and there's this image that's given life to create a God of good and evil and these types of things, of Satan and Jesus and whatever else they got going on in this world, where, oh, that's satanic, oh, that's Jesus, and whatever else, right? And then they're blending the two with your so-called Christian music, your secular music, all right? That fits all 45,000 plus denominations of Christianity. So the 45 is there for the Trump, and he's coming back to gather his nations. So the digital dollar, and let's say this real quick first, with the mark of the beast and that mark in the right hand and the forehead, right? They're taking this literal. In the same chapter, the beast is taken figurative. So at what point do you go from figurative to literal in the same chapter? All right? So this is part of the blinding the people, where the blind leading the blind that Jesus talked about. The people, the pastors and the congregations and such. All right? The teachers of the lawyers, the teachers of the law. All right? That's that New Testament and your Old Testament and those things. So Jesus is coming at a time when those things control the world. The religions control the world, that dark light, and he's coming as a light into this world to get rid of it. Right? That's where your internet, all these things come. We're coming to create a new heaven and earth, a whole new way of being. There's a whole new projection coming. As a whole new projection comes, the old's taken out. And then when things wrap around, there'll be little evidence left of it. Because we're in that digital age where everything's up in the cloud. As it's coming down from the cloud, it's going up to the cloud. Intermingling. Either way, the money is taught by the church as that tracking of the buying and selling. And the tracking of the buying and selling, well, you track with the commercials. You see, oh, I want to buy that. I'm going to go get that sell. It's $9.99. So you've been tracking the buying and selling for a long time. And then your credit cards have been tracking your buying and selling for a long time. Your money, your cash, has a number on it that is tracked. All these things are tracked, however it may be. Okay? It's been tracked since they came out with this shit. All right? So the David, the Hollywood, the Social Security, all these things work together. And it's a new heaven and new earth being built up. And so as it does that, it just doesn't happen overnight. And they're teaching it, this heaven's here and whatever else. And they believe this heaven's out here or whatever, because they're being taught they believe on a cartoon space ball or whatever. All right, they're cartoon space monkeys. And that's why the monkeypox, that MP ox, that military police ox, all that shit's kind of coming. Either way, folks. So the money, the digital dollar, the BRICS, coming to take the petrodollar out. The petro, the pet tree. All right. So the Petri dish, it's got that nasty mold in it. So the BRICS is coming to take out the petrodollar. The petro is tied to the beast men. All right. When this happens, that's when America kind of takes a tumble, and then they have to create the digital dollar to do currency exchange with the BRICS because it's a digital platform. So this is the alt currencies and those types of things. Bitcoin is tied to the DAO, and Bitcoin is tied to the drug money and all those things, the Silk Road, and that's something that will be playing out in the future. And so-called $20 bills have cocaine on them, whatever percentage of them, but I'm sure either way. So all of these things are like coming together. So the cocaine on the residue bills, that will play a role into where they come out with the BRICS. This is the way I see it coming. The BRICS comes on, like turns on. That's that global switch, and then the petrodollar's done. And then shit happens here, and then we turn on the digital dollar. And then to get people to turn on the digital dollar, they come out with the virus or the mpox or what, for God so loved the world, the glove disease, where it takes out the mark in the right hand. Okay, because Mike Lindell, that Lyondell, that for the election fraud, for that seamless stills coming in, this is where he's saying, well, I want to go back to the paper ballots. Well, those have flaws too. If you don't remember in school, you had to fill it out just right and use a number 2 pencil and all these other things, right? So you could have fake number 2 pencils, or you could have dumb shits not fill out the bubble right and all this other thing, right? You got to pop that bubble. But either way, this is part of that mark in the right hand to buy and sell. And another way to worship his name and number, the dawn, that ray of light for the Republicans and that dawn nation, or the check no. All right, so the buy and sell is the yes and no. And then the George Strait for the check yes or no, and the Jorge's there for your hay and stubble, and then your the wood dragon, and then the wood dragon is this year, and then the serpent's after. So that ties to the 3 pigs also. You have that hay, stubble, and then the sticks of the house sticks, and then the bricks, the house made of bricks. The wolf can't blow down, so the wolf's among you with the dawn. And that morning hunt, and the hunter's already been here, and now he's gonna be tracking the prey and eating the prey and all those other things. So that prey is the religions. The virus can come on, and then you have Mike Lindell wanting for the paper voting, and then that's where you have the voting apps come on, because this virus comes on and shuts down the world that way. Or you can have the Trojan horse come on and do that spraying of that magazine and such, or the abomination of the holy place. That would be that election site and those types of things. But we can see these things unfolding to where there can be some discrepancies to where the so-called beastmen act out, and this is where we can get that month to a week to a day, or it can happen on the backtrack for a day to a week to the month. And we're getting up on those times. So the election and the virus, the V22I, the iris, and all those things are all like coming in for, it should be this election season, all right, to help stop the voting, and bringing the election app to where the people want that marking in the right hand and that paper ballot and all this other stuff, when actually the safest way and the best way to do voting is to do the facial recognition thing, all right, or that'd be that mark in the foreheads, or that thumbprint, or whatever, the mark in the right hand to do the voting app. That would be the most secure way. Or you don't even need voting, actually, with the AI coming on, and that's where you have the different AIs coming on, and then they all put it together what people want, and then it goes from there. But either way, there's a new heaven and earth coming up, and this so-called world stage, this democracy that you live in, and this so-called republic and whatever, it's all coming to a fruition with the forbidden fruit, and that tree has grown tall. So as the dollar and the George Washington tree is struck down, the church and the religions and such, they're going to act out and be like, we're not going to do your system. This is where it's all the antichrist or anti this and that or whatever, because they don't know who Christ is. They're being taught and brainwashed that this is the Jesus is Christ or whatever, and Jesus warned in those, and in times they'll be teaching, I am Christ. Okay, and this is where those who hold the testimony of Jesus Christ, well, you go and track it down a little bit more further, those are called the beast men. And then the people, the Christians, are the sheep among the wolves. So Christianity, that's following a begotten son, looking back at a man. All right, and this is where Paul changed the gospel. And y'all are reading John 3 a little bit backwards, because he's actually talking to a Pharisee and explaining to them why Moses is wrong and why worshiping that begotten son is wrong, and y'all are all doing it like it's right or whatever is going on here. But this is where the mark has been set. It's been seared. For if you could see, you cannot. If you could hear, you cannot. You have to be broken first. The horses in the head, the 4 horsemen in the head, the knights in the head, they have to be taken to battle. And they're being taken to battle on this chessboard now. And we all are kings, queens, bishops, castles, pawns, and the knights. And we just don't know it. The keys have been taken. The board's been taken. And as these pieces are going to battle, these pieces are being moved around in your hearts, in your bodies, in your minds. And the chess master's coming, and he's moving all of you for battle of chess. This is really so simple to do. It's all been preset, and the mark with the virus has been preset by the 75 or 80% who's been stung by the bee or serpent or whatever. But that iron and clay empire is going to crumble. Okay, so the crumble cookie I know everybody loves, and they're expensive, so that expensive is coming with the X-Files and such. All right, the extras, the ones that are loaded up, all right, the monkeypox, going back to the space monkeys, all these things are pre-loaded for the second stage and the tri-stage, all right? And this first stage is here, and then the second and the third kind of overlap, okay? Because part 2's released November, part 3, May, all right? And we can have a flip on seasons and such, all right? Choo-choo, choo-choo. So the everything's locked, cocked, and ready to rock. Drugs, sex, and rock and roll. They will divide the nation, as that image has been given life, and it has seared the people. And all the so-called truthers are actually teaching all lies. So soon enough.